Wait. I have questions. Who is Bonnie? Why is she over the sea? And if you want her so bad, why are you asking someone else to get her? Hello and welcome to episode 2 of Music Basics with Ballard. What is an interval? I am Douglas Ballard and I'm very glad to have you along on this musical journey today. And I want to talk to you today about intervals. Before I do that though, I need to remind you that this currently is being used as distance learning for my students. And so throughout the video, I'm going to hide 3 code words into the video for them to find and to use later. So just a little warning that that's going to come in there again. And here we go. So what is an interval? Well, an interval is pretty simple. It's the distance between 2 pitches. And the distance between 2 pitches is labeled very simply based on where they fall on the distance from what's called the root. Now, we'll talk a little bit more about that. This is, like I said, Music Basics with Ballard, so we're going to do the best we can to try to give you a good basic understanding of that. The first thing that you need to understand in order to be able to get intervals is you need to understand what something called a whole step or a half step is. We're going to start with half step. So if you look at your piano, you notice that your piano on the keys has these lovely white and black keys. I'm going to avoid using that because it actually gets confusing later on if you're trying to get better at playing on the piano or just doing music in general. But you need to watch out about using white versus black keys because it doesn't always work. And I'll show you what I mean in a moment. So half step. What is a half step? Well, half step is the shortest interval that we've got. I'll give you its label later, but it's the shortest interval that we've got. And half step sounds like this. You play them together, it sounds like this. That's a half step. Okay, very crunchy, really kind of in there sound. Listen to it again. You have that very like crunchy sound in there. Now, the thing that you need to be paying attention to with a half step is that the notes are right next to each other. They literally touch each other on the piano, and their sound kind of rubs against each other. So it's a good way to remember is that a half step kind of rubs against the other note. Now a whole step is technically 2 notes away from the original pitch. So here's the first pitch, here is that half step, and here is the whole step. So a whole step sounds like this by itself. Okay? That is a whole step, and a whole step also has its own name, which we'll get into later, but that distance sounds like this. Not quite as crunchy as this, right? So you hear that, you have that really crunchy half step, and then you have that not so crunchy whole step. So when I talk in half steps and whole steps in a moment, you'll have a little bit of better understanding of what that means. So what did I mean by staying away from using white and black keys? Well, they do touch each other, but you'll notice that you have some keys that have a white key next to a white key. You can't use, you go from a white key to a black key, and that's a half step. Well, yeah, it is generally, but it's not going to be when you have notes like E to F, and we'll talk, those are specific pitches. When you have E to F, that's still a half step. Has that crunchy sound, right? Also, B to C does the same thing. Right? It has that same crunchy half step, but there's no black key in between them. So that's why I avoid using white and black keys as our identifiers for half steps and whole steps. The next term that you need to know is what is minor, what is major. What do those mean? Now, here are the very basic versions of that. So a minor interval is 1 half step, so there's that term, 1 half step less than the major interval. So it is, so if the major interval is like this, the minor interval is 1 half step less from here to here. So when you do that interval again, we have, all right, so that's a minor interval, and this is a major interval. See how that one's higher in pitch? Okay, listen one more time. Here's that major interval. Here is that minor interval. See, it sounds just a little, the last note is a little bit lower, and it's 1/2 step lower, okay? So minor versus major. One of the next terms you're going to hear me use is perfect. Something is perfect. We have two perfect intervals that we're going to discuss. They sound like this and this. Okay, those are two perfect intervals. And the reason why we're not going to be using, and there's on what are called a perfect fourth and a perfect fifth. More on that later, I promise. But there is no real such thing as a major fourth or a major fifth in modern Western music. Now, Western music, there's a term that people throw out there and all the time, and they don't really explain it. Western music, very simply, is explained as it's music that comes from Europe, South America, and North America. That's the easiest way to describe Western music. It basically originated in Europe and kind of spread out as Europeans kind of moved into the globe. Now, you hear European-styled music all over the place, but the origins really of Western music kind of go from Europe, North America, South America, a little bit of Australia too, because that was a transplant area for British people at one point in time. So just understand that when I'm talking about Western music, you don't really have a major fourth and a major fifth, and the explanation is really, really kind of really in your face. That explanation is that major fourths and major fifths, when you hear them, the pitches are really, really clashy with all the notes around them, and you really only hear them in modern 12-tone music, and don't get me started on that stuff. And you'll sometimes hear it in African and Asian music. You'll hear those major fourths and major fifths. The distance is just not right, and it doesn't sound right to Western traditions. And so that's why we're not going to talk about major fourths and major fifths. We are going to talk about perfect, and perfect is because it's a perfect distance from the root. There's our perfect distance, perfect distance. So the last term I need to get to you is the word augmented. Now, augmented is very, very simple. It is just 1/2 step higher. Remember, minor was 1/2 step lower, and augmented is 1/2 step higher. So we'll use this. We'll use that perfect fourth, and we'll talk about those numbers in a moment. We have perfect fourth. Okay, 1/2 step higher is augmented. So we have an augmented fourth. Now that one has a special name, and we'll get into that. But again, remember, listen to it. Here's that. It's a little bit higher. And then we go up 1/2 step. Okay, and that interval is now an augmented fourth. Now the last thing you need to know is, where are these numbers coming from? Well, it's actually rather simple. Your standard Western scale, there's that term Western again, their standard Western scale has 8 notes in it, and when it has 8 notes in it, you count them from the bottom. So the first note, I'm using C major, and we're starting from the bottom. Here's note number 1, then note number 2, then note number 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, which is technically 1 again. All right, and we'll talk about what that is later on. But again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That is the distance. Now there are minor and major intervals in there, just letting you know, whole steps and half steps that kind of show up, but we're simplifying it down to its basics. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And those numbers will equate eventually to those intervals. So I wanted to make sure that you understood why I'm using those numbers and where they're coming from. They come from that 8-note scale. The final thing that I'm going to do for you is, there's an interval warm-up that I do when I'm singing. And that interval warm-up helps me get those distances in my ear. Now, I'm going to do it now, and then I'm going to do it again later, and you're probably going to have a much easier time hearing it the next time. So here is that interval warm-up. It goes like this. Minor second, major second, minor third, major third, perfect fourth, tritone, perfect fifth, minor 6, major 6, minor 7, major 7, octave. Now the cool thing is, you now know all of the terms that you need to know for all your intervals, and we're going to go over what they are. Before I do, I'm going to give the first code word. The first code word is my favorite thing, Disney. Disney, first code word. There are 3 of them. Make sure you're listening. At this point in time, you might be asking yourself, well, that's all well and good. You can sing an interval exercise, whoopee-doo, but how do I actually hear them and learn how to hear them on my own? Well, it's actually quite simple. There's lots and lots of great music out there, and in that music, you get to hear all those intervals all the time. So I actually have compiled a list. I did some research on my own, and I want to give a big shout out to a lady named Ashley Evelyn Mazur. She's from a website called musicalu.com. She helped me find a couple more modern songs that are used. There's been a lot of songs over the years. People are like, oh, just use this song, and people have no idea what that song is. This interval training is to help you find intervals in songs that you might know that are much more common today than they were when I was learning intervals and everybody was singing all these great folk songs that have these intervals in them. And so we're going to start with the minor second. In the minor second, it is the closest interval. We've already talked about it. It's that half step, all right? We have half steps. Okay, when you play them together, you get that crunchy sound, right? And that I like, it's called dissonant. And dissonant is such a great term, but it's crunchy. It's got a lot of crunch. That's your minor second. And there is a world famous example out there that you all know. And so I'm going to play it for you, then I'll play the interval, and then we're going to play it again and see if you can hear it again. So that first interval comes from an old movie from the 1980s that everyone seems to know because they love using in commercials, Jaws. Here it is. Did you hear it? It had the minor second. It's way down low. It's down here. I'll play it up here so it's a little bit easier to hear, but these are the pitches that it actually used. Okay? Listen to it again. See if you can hear that minor second. You heard it that time, didn't you? Great job. Now, it wouldn't be a video that I made without a reference to Disney. There's another great example of minor seconds in a piece of music that I'm sure you will know. Take a listen to it now.
Beauty and the Beast.
Did you hear it? Beauty and the Beast by Alan Menken and Howard Ashman. Yeah, it's right here. On the beauty. Yeah, check it out. Listen to it again.
Beauty and the Beast.
See? Minor second. Right there. You got it. And that's the minor second, the closest interval we've got. Our next interval is the major second. Remember, major is 1/2 step higher than minor, and major seconds sound like this. That's that whole step. It's still dissonant, but not quite as dissonant as the minor second. But a song that you might know, that you've sung before, it sounds like this. Yeah, you recognized that, didn't you? There's a major second right off the bat. Yeah, happy birthday. And then it actually comes back. Listen to it. Now, the nice thing is that when you're listening to that, you actually have a major second up right here. That's the major second up and comes back down. Those are called ascending, and this is called descending. And then you do a little bit of leaping around. We'll talk about those intervals later. That's a minor second. Descending, we had those already. And then we have a major second again. And then here is another major second going down. Oh, look at that. So there you go. Listen to it again. See? Happy birthday. Major seconds. Can't miss it. There's also a really popular song that everyone knows. It goes like this. Sorry, I had to get it stuck in your head. But listen, Friday, Friday. All right. Yeah, there's that major second. It goes up and down and up and down. Ascending, descending. Remember, up. All right, going down is descending. Going up is ascending. Going ascending the mountain, descending the mountain. All right, so there you go. But listen one more time.
Friday, Friday, getting down on Friday.
You're going to walk away from my video singing it, and you know it. The next interval is called minor third. And a minor third is actually kind of interesting. According to research from a doctor by the name of Zoltan Kodály, who is very famous in the musical world, the minor third is the very first interval that the human brain as a child is able to perceive. And the minor third, you might recognize it because we never see kids teasing other kids. They go, nya, 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 nya. They use that minor third. And here's another weird thing. They also use it in doorbells. Wow, I didn't know my doorbell got that loud. Whatever. Anyway, so intervals are pretty impressive. And they're used all the time, and your brain starts processing them really, really early. However, the minor third is used in all kinds of places, and there was a very famous movie that just came out within the past 10 years that I'm sure you've heard a minor third in. Take a listen. That's right, Katniss's whistle signal for Prue is a minor third. This one right here. There's your minor third. Play that minor third together. It sounds so lovely and actually kind of dark. But the minor third in Katniss's whistle signal is right there in the beginning. There's a great minor third. Take a listen again. A more common song that we've been listening to that has a minor third is rather simple. And take a listen to this one.
Do you ever feel like a plastic bag drifting through the wind, wanting to start again?
There you go. Katy Perry's Firework. There's one right there in the beginning. All right. Do you ever feel, all right? All right, you have that great sound there. It starts out with that minor third. Ascending and descending firework. Katy Perry, listen one more time.
Do you ever feel like a plastic bag drifting through the wind, wanting to start again?
See, this is getting easier, isn't it? Great job. Here we go. We're going to start talking about major thirds now. Now, major thirds, minor thirds, you've actually heard them a lot. If you want to hear something that you want to make it sound sad, you're going to hear a minor third. You want to make it sound happy, you're going to try to use that major third. Listen to it again. You really hear it now. Minor third. Major third. Yeah, it's pretty crazy how much that works for you. Now, here's an example of a major third from one of my favorite guys. Take it away, Mickey. M-I-C-K-E-Y-M-O-U-S-E. You see what I mean? Yeah, there it is. Let's do it again. It's right in there. M-I-C-K-E-Y-M. Right there is your major third. Check it out. Now, okay, all right. I'll go with someone that you all want to hear from, even though I know you love Mickey just as much as I do. See, he's here watching right now. Don't make him sad by saying you don't like him. Another example of a major third is from a rather popular singer and songwriter today, and her name is Taylor Swift. Check it out.
Today was a fairy tale, you were the prince. I used to be a damsel in distress.
Yeah, did you hear it? She's right in the beginning on the today. Today was a... All right, she goes right into it. Take a listen one more time.
Today was a fairy tale, you were the prince. I used to be a damsel in distress.
Pretty easy to hear now, isn't it? I think you're getting it. The next thing we're going to talk about is the perfect fourth. Now, the perfect fourth is 4 steps away from the root and the fourth, and it's called perfect because they fit in so nicely with so many different chords that you really got to use them a lot. So, perfect fourth. Here's a good example of one, and it's me this time. Yeah, that came from me playing on my porch one night just to try to get some joy outside while I was playing. But Amazing Grace, it starts right away with that fourth. All right, that perfect fourth. Do you recognize something else that you might have heard that sounds like that? I bet you do. Yeah, when I was a kid and they were teaching intervals, they always talked about the bridal chorus from Richard Wagner, a German opera composer. You've probably heard that before. They play that in cartoons all the time. But there's that perfect fourth right away. Here comes the bride. There you go. All right. I'll get to songs that you might have heard today, and that song is relatively simple. Take a listen. This one needs no introduction. I'll just let her sing it. Yeah, you recognize that one, didn't you? It's right in that second part. I could have had it all. There's your fourth. There it is. Listen to it. Yeah, you have that fourth right there. One more time. Listen to her. She goes for it, doesn't she? Thanks, Adele. Always a pleasure. Now, because the perfect fourth is one of the more important ones, I'm going to have one more example for you. And also because, well, you know, I can sneak in more Disney. Here it goes.
Part of that world.
Yeah, that's right. Ariel does one right there in her most famous song. Part of, there's your fourth. So, Ariel's got one in there too. Listen to her do it one more time.
Part of that world.
So pretty. I love perfect fourths. Oh, and speaking of sneaking things in for Disney, here's the next word. Parks. Yeah, parks. That's the word. It's snuck in there, isn't it? Now that we've got the perfect fourth out of the way, we are going to move on to one of my favorites, the augmented fourth, or the tritone. The reason why it's called the tritone is it's because exactly in between the two notes, the number 1 and the number 8, it's perfectly in the middle, so they called it the tritone. Now, before I play it, I gotta warn you, back in the old days, they used to believe that if you played it in the church, it would call the devil into the church, and it was banned in church. I think we're fine. You called? Forget him. We're just going to keep going. This is, again, the augmented fourth. It has this really creepy kind of sound. I can see where they got the idea about the devil. We don't believe that anymore, trust me. And I've even sung those in church. Never had any problems before, so don't worry yourselves. But that augmented fourth has been in so many really cool things, like the theme song to one of America's favorite animated cartoons. Check it out. The Simpsons. That's right. Danny Elfman's the main titles to The Simpsons. You heard it in there, didn't you? Yeah, that augmented fourth, a tritone right there. Listen to it one more time. The Simpsons. Cool, right? Yeah, I think it's so awesome that he slipped that in there, kind of to give you that little like crunch right there in the beginning. Great use of the tritone. Now, I have to put this one in here. When I was growing up, they always used to use the following example of exactly how to do a amazing tritone. It's a classic piece of musical literature, and if you don't know it, you really should check it out. Take a listen.
Maria, I just met a girl named Maria.
That's right, Maria from Leonard Bernstein's West Side Story. Just an amazing piece of music, and it's him expressing love with all this, using the tritone to throw in tension with that resolution right after. Listen to it. Maria. Oh, so gorgeous. Listen to it one more time.
Maria, I just met a girl named Maria.
Oh, just gotta love it. All the love in that piece with that tension release with that tritone jump right in the beginning. Oh, just so beautiful. Moving on, we're going to start talking about the perfect fifth. Now, the perfect fifth is a great note. They use it in so many pieces of music that you are used to hearing today. I mean, I'll just use one of the first ones that you ever learned with the perfect fifth in it. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Now I wonder what you are. Wait a second. Oh, how many of you just realized that those are the same song? See, learn something new every day. But yeah, Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, the ABC song, and some of you might even know Ba Ba Black Sheep. They're all using the same song, and they start with a perfect fifth. It goes right into it. Play those together, it actually sounds pretty nice. You add in a major third. Oh, look at that. That major third makes it sound pretty awesome. You can do it in the minor third too. Oh yeah, and now we have chords. We'll talk more about those later, but there's a little teaser I wanted to give you. So that's that fifth, that perfect fifth. Take a listen to a much more modern example, however. That's right, good old Lady Gaga. Yeah, you heard one right there. Right there. Perfect fifth. Listen to it again. There you go. Lady Gaga's got one for you. Here is one that I'm sure you're going to know. But the reason why I didn't start with it, well, it makes a little bit of a choice that a little bit more difficult to understand. Yeah, you recognize that one. That's John Williams' main titles of Star Wars. The reason why I didn't start with that one, because everyone always says, oh, use Star Wars for the perfect fifth. Well, it actually starts with a perfect fourth. That's a perfect fourth. Then the perfect fifth comes in. So listen to the way it sounds again. Yeah, there's your perfect fifth. It's after it. So it starts with a perfect fourth. Then it goes into a perfect fifth. Now, the funny thing is, it starts and ends on the same note, but it still has a fourth, the first notes, and then a fifth, the second notes. It starts with a low F, and then goes to the B flat. We're using pitches now, and then it goes up to the F. So listen to it one more time. Did you hear the perfect fourth? Did you hear the perfect fifth right after it? Well, you really can't miss that song. Gotta love Star Wars and gotta love John Williams for making one of the most memorable versions of a perfect fourth and a perfect fifth right together. Awesome. Our next interval is actually pretty common too. It is called the minor sixth. The minor sixth is pretty cool, and when you hear it, you're going to be like, oh, I have definitely heard those before. I'm going to give you the example that it was used when I was a kid, and I'm pretty sure a lot of you have still heard this song today. That's right. Scott Joplin's The Entertainer definitely uses it. It keeps hitting it too. Yeah, right there. Listen to it again. Yeah, that minor sixth Just he keeps hitting it over and over again right there off the beginning. Take a listen one more time. Yeah, pretty obvious now, right? Well, okay, you want something more modern. All right. Here. Take a listen to this. That's right, our good friend Usher, in his song Yeah, has one right off the bat. Now, he starts with a perfect fifth, but then he does the minor sixth. So, there's your minor sixth, the second set of notes. And he just does it throughout the entire song. And you really hear that minor sixth over and over again. One more time, take a listen. However, I do want to throw one more minor sixth in there. Maybe you're not a fan of Usher. I know a lot of people are, but, well, there's also this song. Check it out.
So let's set the world on fire. We can burn brighter than the sun.
See? So let's set this world on fire, right? Right? There's that minor sixth again. Right there. Yeah, my good friend Tony gave me that one. So thanks a lot, Tony. You're the best. I appreciate you giving me that suggestion. I didn't think of that one until you said something, so couldn't do it without you. Thanks, Tony. Moving right along, we're going to start talking about the major sixth. Now, when I was young, they used this song called My Bonnie Lies Over the Ocean. I've asked some of my students about this song today, and they have no idea what I'm talking about. Yeah, I had to learn this song to learn the major sixth. My Bonnie lies over the ocean, my Bonnie lies over the sea. My Bonnie lies over the ocean, oh bring back my Bonnie to me. Yeah, it's those first two notes, my Bonnie, and no one knows who Bonnie is. So, no one knows that song, so that's why I'm making this interval training with songs that you know, because songs like that, no one knows anymore. It's sad that people don't know it anymore, but they don't. So here's the first example I have of a major sixth being used in modern music.
Hey, I just met you, and this is crazy, but here's my number, so call me maybe.
That's right. You saw it coming, but it had to be done. Carly Rae Jepsen used it in Call Me Maybe. Yeah, there's that little jump. This one right here. This is crazy. This is crazy. There's that major sixth again. Take a listen again for Carly singing it. She's going to do a better job.
Hey, I just met you, and this is crazy, but here's my number, so call me maybe.
Yeah, there you go. Major sixth. Thanks, Carly Rae Jepsen. Appreciate you throwing it in that song for us. All right, our next interval is actually kind of interesting. According to that same guy I talked about before, Zoltan Kodály, he said that the minor seventh, which we're about to learn about, was the last interval your ear learned how to listen for. And no wonder, it's a very difficult interval, especially to sing it. But I bet you've actually done it before and just never realized it. Take a listen to this famous Christmas carol.
The little Lord Jesus asleep on the hay.
Now, I threw that one in there because, well, during the holiday season, I actually go around and Christmas carol. It's kind of fun. But check it out. The very first interval. Yeah, that's really, really tough to hear, but that away in a manger is one of the best ways to find it. Pretty cool, right? That interval is pretty hard to hear, but those kids did a great job with it. Now, one more example, and I have to do it again because just such a quintessential piece of music, is Somewhere from West Side Story by Leonard Bernstein. Again, take a listen to this beautiful melody that uses that interval.
There's a place for us, somewhere a place for us.
That's right, Leonard Bernstein does it again, where he has that beautiful, just such a gorgeous piece of music with that tension, with the minor seven, Oh, just beautiful as he works his way through it, and it's two lovers telling each other that they're going to run away together, and everything will be okay. Such a beautiful musical. If you haven't seen it, you got to do it again. Here's the professionals though singing it one more time.
There's a place for us somewhere, a place for us.
Yeah, just glorious, beautiful sound. Minor sevenths, who knew? Our second to last interval is called the major seventh. We just did the minor seventh. Remember, major seventh is that half step higher. And we have some great examples of major sevenths. Take a listen to this one.
I waited till I saw the sun.
Yeah, that's Norah Jones singing I Don't Know Why. And it's just a really, really lovely tune. That very first separation, I waited till I saw the sun. Yeah, that's the major seven. Listen to Nora sing it one more time.
I waited till I saw the sun.
Awesome. It's just such a great job she does on that song. There's another one you might actually know, and it's a little bit older, but I think you might know it. Check this one out.
Come with me, and you'll be in a world of pure imagination.
Yeah, that's right. Gene Wilder was singing one there. It's right there in a world of pure imagination. Listen one more time. Yeah, that jump right there is that major seventh. Listen to Gene Wilder singing Pure Imagination one more time.
Come with me, and you'll be in a world of pure imagination.
All right, we've gotten to our last interval. It is called the octave. Wait, why isn't it called the major eighth or something? Well, it's pretty simple. You know how like an octopus has 8 legs? Well, an octave is 8 notes apart, so an octave. That's what they call it. Pretty simple. Octave, 8 notes apart. And there's nothing better than this example right here.
Somewhere over the rainbow, way up high.
You really can't go wrong with Judy Garland. Right? Can't go wrong. One more time, listen to it. Take a listen to Judy Garland singing it one more time, Over the Rainbow.
Somewhere over the rainbow, way up high.
Isn't that magical? Oh, speaking of magic, that's our next word, magic. That's the third word, magic. Pretty cool. Now, the last one we're going to use, all right. So that movie came out so many years ago. I'll use something more modern. Here we go. Thanks, LMFAO. That's right. Party Rock Anthem uses an octave. Yeah, check it out. That's that jump. And they actually kind of like, they slide all the way through it. Check it out one more time. Party Rock. Party Rock is in the house tonight. So there you have it. You have learned all of your intervals. Do you think you could do this? Minor second, major second, minor third, major third, perfect fourth, tritone, perfect fifth, minor 6, major 6, minor 7, major 7, octave. Think you could do it? Try it yourself. Back the recording up. Try it. See what you can do. Hey, I really appreciate you guys coming along with me. And can you hear those songs in that exercise? I hope you can. Thanks again. Until next time, see you, bye. Oh, I almost forgot. Here's another major second. Have fun with this one.